What made you want to be a goalie, and tell us about your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to be a goalie, like starting really young. My dad was a goalie, and I had two brothers as well, so we had to back the rink in the backyard. So it kind of started off like my older brother was the forward, and I was the middle child, so I ended up being a goalie.
Yeah.
And in the backyard, so I really, really enjoyed it, and obviously wanted to follow my dad's footsteps. And yeah, I mean, I was still a decent player, so it kind of was a dagger when I moved to goalie. But really enjoyed being a goalie, just like my dad. And I mean, getting to juniors, one of my favorite goalies growing up was Patrick Roy, and I ended up having the chance to play for him in Quebec City back when I was 17, 18, 19-year-old.
Tell us a little bit more on what it was like playing for Patrick Roy.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pretty intimidating guy to, just even to talk to outside of hockey. Like just to talk with him, he's a pretty confident guy, pretty cold to be honest. But he's not especially I was playing for him, so he was my coach and GM at the same time. So it was a little bit intimidating at first, but he's obviously he's got some opinions about hockey and about the game and how it should be played. And he was a really good coach for us at Quebec City, and it showed he had some success with the pros and why he still wants to coach at the NHL level. So definitely does have the passion for the game, and he's all about winning. So kind of where I picked up. Quebec City, we had a mentality of winning only, and if you're not winning, guys are getting the door pretty quick. So that was a kind of a good introduction to junior and the pro hockey attitude that they had there. So I mean, it really helped me out when I got into there at 17. And then spent some time in Cape Breton and in Gatineau as well in the queue. So I ended up having a 4-year career there. And then wrap it up with being drafted in 2012 to Ottawa. Not getting a contract there was kind of a dagger for me too. But anyways, I ended up playing youth sports, which is basically the equivalent of NCAA for Canadian universities. Obviously, we don't have the same budget when it comes off the ice, but hockey-wise, we always trips down to the States to play some preseason games against D1 teams, and most of the times we get the wins. But obviously, we're a little bit older guys. Youth sports is kind of the league where you go after playing major junior, since you're not NCAA eligible. We gotta get our school in, so that league's starting to get better and better every year. With lots of guys choosing school and having a degree before playing pro hockey, and kind of having that degree in your back pocket. So.
After this most recent season, you got to go to the ECHL for a little brief period of time. Give us a little bit more insight on that, and what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, perks of playing youth sports at the end of your season comes really soon because of exams. So the second half of the season kind of wraps up pretty quick, and you get into playoffs pretty early. The nationals all end up before our exams are at the door. So this year I ended up making it all the way to nationals, which was a little longer season, but still ended up having the chance to go down in the coast and play 8 games for the Maine Mariners there. And I mean, it's something I was kind of planning on going there all year with their GM, Danny Briere there. He's another Gatineau guy where I'm from, so kind of had the plan to go there all along, and our playoffs kept getting longer and longer, so starting to wonder if I was ever going to go. But I mean, yeah, it was great to go down there right after nationals and get the chance to play a few close games.
That's great. You got to spend a little bit of time in the ECHL this year. Looking back at your 2014 season, you scored 2 goals in a single season. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, my OA year, so my 20-year-old year when I was in Cape Breton, the first goal came against Quebec City, which was a little sweet, little cherry on top.
What stick did you score that first goal with?
The goal I scored when I was playing for Cape Breton is actually just a stock total one and extra. Gotcha. And then the one when I was in Gatineau was testing out some gear for Bauer, so I had a 1S prototype, all blank, just gray stick.
That must be pretty exciting, scoring 2 goals in one season. Most people don't even get a chance for one. What was it like scoring that second goal? Can you run us through your emotions on that?
I mean, that was a pretty weird game. It was we had a 7-5 lead, and then Quebec had a power play last 2 minutes of the game, I guess, and they pulled the goalie to try and get 1 or 2 goals. And I don't know, I just kind of stopped the rim, fired at the glass, and it ended up going all the way into the net. I mean, it was a kind of a race to the 5 goals I landed before, but it was a pretty good feeling.
Looking back at that second goal, you had a pretty iconic celly where you got to lay down on the ice and shoot your stick like a sniper. Is that something you had planned out previously?
Yeah, I mean, so the first one kind of was not an accident, but I mean, I got lucky to get a goal, so I didn't really have time to celebrate or do anything crazy, and all my D-man teammates were already in my zone, already on top of me when the puck actually went in. But the counter one, I was kind of ready. I had kind of a celly planned out if I ever scored again, because I didn't want to just get stranded out there with no celly. So I mean, it was kind of the same rim to my right side, and I kind of just grabbed it and saw the middle of the ice was wide open, so I just fired one down the middle and ended up going all the way in. So I saw it go all the way right down the middle.
Scoring 2 goals like that takes a lot of skill with the puck. Is that something you really focus on heavily, or is that something you've kind of naturally gained over time?
I mean, a little bit of both. I mean, I was already pretty good at playing the puck, but going into juniors, I played with Louis Domingue, which he plays for Tampa now. He was one of the goalies that played the puck like elite level, and I wasn't really confident playing the puck back then. So he's kind of the one that showed me the ropes about playing the puck and why doing certain decisions, and it's all about having confidence to get back there and make the plays, right? So if you're hesitating, that's when you get caught. So it's all about having the confidence to get back there and do certain things. And if you look at a guy like Jordan Binnington in the Stanley Cup right now, he's a guy that has lots of confidence playing the puck. I mean, I never thought of him as a guy that could play a puck like that, but he's just definitely shows that something you practice on your own time that kind of pays off when you get to the games.
Is playing the puck something you would consider yourself doing more than another goalie out there on the ice?
Yeah, I'll take my chances. I'll make the pass through some players, or I'll hold on to it an extra second and then make a different play that most goalies probably won't do. I mean, hard rims around the glass are great, but I like the straight passes to the wingers sometimes, catch the forecheck off guard. So I like to throw different things out there and kind of read the forecheck a little bit more and kind of play as a defenseman when I get the puck, I guess.
That's great advice for a young goaltender looking to get better at playing the puck and just practice and get more confident at it. But transitioning to more of your personal gear, what was the very first set that you had coming into Quebec in your very first season?
Oh, my first set in Quebec was a Vaughn V6. Yeah, so I was a Vaughn guy growing up, and when I got to juniors, my first set of Vaughn, Quebec would do like whenever you would get drafted, you'd get a set right away. You'd order it the next day or something, or the next week or so. So you'd get it like for the summer and going into camp. But I realized after making the team that long, when it lasted me as long, and it took a month for them to be beaten up, and both my gloves were beaten up, and I wasn't really happy with how they were responding after a year of major junior practices. So I kind of took the opportunity when Bauer approached me. They had the factory making the gear was in Quebec City back then, down the road from our rink. So I kind of took the opportunity when they came down and asked me if I wanted to go visit the factory and make my own gear and my own specs and all that. So I kind of jumped on that, and I've been with Bauer ever since.
So that was the official start of you getting into Bauer gear. What did you end up getting for your very first set of Bauers?
My first set was 1/100. I think, my 17-year-old year. So I used those for half a year. Then I got into Total One. And then I got 2 years later, got to NXGs. Nearly went to the reactors when I went to Cape Breton. I figured the reactors had a good look, and I went all out with the black and yellow there. That's when I figured I really liked this pad better. So I went back, yeah.
So the reactors were more or less an experimental set to see if you really wanted to change it up or stay with a stiff pad?
Yeah, it was kind of an experimental set that didn't really pan out. I mean, the gloves were the same spec that I had before. It was mostly the pads that wasn't a good fit for me. I like the hard pad with the far rebounds and that, not having, I don't mind the really hard pads on my legs.
So finishing up on your juniors career, what did you finish off your last season of junior with?
Yeah, when I was in Gatineau, actually, that's when Bauer approached me to try out the first set of Odins. So at some point in time, me and Lundqvist were the only guy with Odins. So they have an NXG graphic on them, but it was just a sticker. I actually still have that first pair of Odins in my house.
That's pretty cool that you have that, since it was such a big change to goalie gear at the time. So after that junior season, you went to the SPHL for a brief little time?
Yeah, I ended up playing half a year in the SPHL there. Slowly trying to get my foot in the door to get to the East Coast. But then I ran into some visa problems, and when you play in major junior, you ended up having scholarships, so I kind of was leaning towards going back to school to not lose those scholarships. And I knew a lot of guys that made the switch, made the jump to CIS, or U Sports now, I guess, and they really enjoyed the hockey, and it really made me think about going back, and I never regret that decision. It was probably the best decision I've ever made.
That's really great to hear that going back to school was one of the best decisions you ever made. So when you were in school, give me a little rundown of the gear that you had throughout your years.
Yeah, so my first year of college, I was rocking white, black with red logos, 1S's. So I had those for the year. And my second year, I went back to an all-white set, which had a 1S graphics, but it was a 2S pad that I was using from Bauer. So if I wanted to have the 2S early, I had to have it with the 1S skin. So I went all white for that season. And then for my third and final year, I went all out and did a full custom set of 2S's with, I'm sure you guys have seen them, all the Ravens logos all over them, and they're all black and a little bit of red.
That's a great looking set I've been able to see for myself. Where did the ideas come from for this set? I know it's a very detailed set with all the little ravens in the back. Where did this idea come from, and did anyone really help you with it, or is this an original idea from you?
The idea came from my mask. I work with Sylvie Poitras up in northern Quebec. She did all my masks in juniors, and she did my mask for university, and she did a really, really good job about this helmet. It's one of my favorites, and I kind of set the pictures to Mash Designs, who's the guy who worked with Bauer to make the gear. True Designs, I think it's called now. So he's the one that came up with a bunch of options, and I just picked from one of those and put two together, and it's probably one of the best looking pads I've ever had.
I'd love to dive a little bit more in depth with this Bauer 2S set. Is there any special modifications that you order in the ordering process, or is it pretty much stock? What do you do with your pads?
My sets are pretty much pretty standard. I mean, I got the extra stiff boot, extra stiff knee, and I use a short elastics. The short elastic straps, and I put it around. I got the one around the knee, and I get rid of the boot strap, obviously, and I wear the ankle one really tight, so it kind of doesn't really move around my ankle, so it's pretty tight around my ankle there. And yeah, I got the Monsters toe straps on there. The blocker's a standard stock blocker. I think there's one piece that's a switch where an extra piece at the finger, the index finger protection, and then the glove is pretty standard, besides an extra padding in the T and reinforced palm. And this year I'm going with a leather strap around the wrist. I like it real tight, and the other one kind of gets worn out, so I went with a leather strap for my wrists on my neck set.
It's pretty interesting to hear that you use almost a stock set of Bauer's. I'm pretty interested to ask, if you were in a bind and you had to buy a new set off the shelf, do you think you could really use that immediately in a game?
Oh yeah, 100% the same way, pretty much. I like my second set in college was a pure stock set, so the Bauer has been doing a really good job at listening to what the goalie wants, and especially having a lot of junior guys switch, like major junior guys, and a lot of pros switch to Bauer. in the past couple of years, I've been able to work with a lot of goalies and figure out what the goalies wanted, and that's something I was just up there this week, and that's something they want to do more and more, is to kind of listen to what the pros want and then add it to their stock pads. So I think they've been doing a really good job at that.
Is there any new gear that's coming out this year and the last couple of years that you're pretty interested in looking at, or you'd be interested in any specific pieces of equipment, or is there any brands that catch your eye?
I mean, not really. Everything I've been putting in my hands, obviously I've been using Bauer for so many years now that everything I put in my hand kind of feels wrong. I do like the Ryan's gloves a lot. I like the break and how do you feel like it catches net. I mean, I played baseball growing up, so I kind of like the glove that feels more like a catcher's glove. So yeah, anything Warrior kind of feels unnatural to me. I mean, the break is awesome, and it's really lightweight. But I mean, I don't think I would ever wear something like the Warrior pads. But I mean, and CCM to me has just been the same pad over and over. So I don't know. I kind of like innovation. I like trying new stuff, and then Bauer kind of allows me year after year to try different options, and kind of gets lighter and lighter. And it was so out of the mind to not have a leather pad back then. So now it's kind of most pads are not even leather, like CCM with speed skin and stuff is not really real leather. So I mean, I like that gear is moving forward, and I like that every company is kind of buying into getting something new and some better and some durable and lightweight every year. So I mean, anything off the shelf is right. It just doesn't feel right to me sometimes. It's just something I feel that Bauer feels right to me, and I understand some guys that CCM feels right to them, and that's totally up to the goalie. Right? I'm not going to be the judge of that. No one should ever be in a pad that they're not comfortable with. So that's why there's different companies which offer different products.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Really, any gear that feels right for you is what you should be wearing. Kind of changing things up, is there a certain piece of equipment that you wear that really stands out for you in net, or do you think defines you?
My neck guard is probably the one thing that stands out. I don't really have anything else but the neck guard. I have the custom design with the tie on it. I've had it for a couple of years now. But, besides that, I don't know. Everything I have is pretty much has a purpose. I mean, there's not really anything that stands out when you look at me, I think.
I'd like to go a little bit more in depth with the rest of your equipment that you're wearing, starting off with the XPM helmet, correct?
XPM, yeah, that's what it is, XPM. So I've had enemies in juniors, and the profile definitely fits my head a little bit better, and also, better style, I think. Looks a little bit better. Recently added a white cat eye to it. Looks pretty nasty. So. And on the skates, I made the switch actually yesterday to the 2X skates. I was using the 1X before. I've always used Bauer skates since juniors. Definitely like the newer versions with no more cowlings and 3mm blades, and I got some Titan blades on mine right now. So I really enjoyed it. The 2X is probably the most comfortable skate I've ever put on. They added some padding inside, and it's really something that I really like. I mean, my ankles are pretty bony, and definitely need some comfort there. But I mean, I really like how it locks on my ankle, and it's a pretty good skate. And then chest deep pant, I'm using the 1S, and I don't think I'll ever change from the 1S chest. It's the best chest I've ever used. And I think I have 1S pants right now too.
I would imagine with all this Bauer gear that you're maybe using their sticks as well?
Not right now. I want to go back to Bauer sticks, but for my school I had to use some different sticks. That's why I kind of took all the logos out. But I was using a Warrior V1s this year. But all 2 years I was using Bauer sticks, and hoping to get back into Bauer sticks next year.
Ah, gotcha. Personally, I've been using the Warrior sticks. How do you feel about them right now?
I like them, actually. I've used a 6-pack all year, and I still have 3 of them. Like, they don't break. They can't break, I feel like. They do offer a good stick for a really lower price than the Bauers. I mean, they're not... I don't know, I can't really tell, but I haven't really found a curve that I like so far. I mean, the Bishop I like, but it's a little bit not as big as I wanted to. I like the P31 So I'm a P31 guy in the Bauer. Yeah, I mean, it's a decent stick. I really like it. And it lasts forever too, so.
I completely agree. They're great sticks. Sort of changing gears here. Do you have any specific game day routines that you run through?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a superstitious guy or anything like that. I just kind of like to eat at the same time, and most of the time it's kind of the same thing that I ended up eating just because it's pretty easy and it's part of my routine, right? But on game days I just have the morning skate and then go home, have some eggs and some bacon and crush a nice hour to 2 hour nap depending on the day. I usually don't put an alarm for 2 hours later and just wake up. Whenever I wake up, I just don't go back to bed. So it's kind of the one thing. And then I have a big plate of pasta before going to the rink, and that's pretty much it. Nice little green tea before a game.
Are we talking Lipton green tea?
Oh no, we're talking real green tea. Boil some water and I get a bag of tea in there.
Great stuff. Going back to last year when I was with you in Austin, you showed me some pretty interesting tips on my Bowers and kind of changed up my strapping from there on out.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure out the strapping first. Most people use the long elastics, and it's not for everyone. I like the really tight. Most people like the tight leg channel, right? So most of the time they come with the long elastics. So if you don't know, you don't know. You just got to switch to the smaller one, and it's a lot better, I think, in my opinion.
How do you personally like your strapping? Is there anything special that you do differently from a standard pad?
Not really. I don't know, it's pretty simple with my gear. Besides that, I like it really tight. I think really tight around your ankle, or like a tight boot strap that goes behind your skate, kind of the Lundy style loop, kind of brings the pad back and helps with the rotation a lot, I think. And then, I mean, with the knee cradle strap going down to the calf is not really my thing. I like it really tight around my my knee, so I'm kind of happy to see that professor strap kind of coming in, and most pads are going to have it as an option, but I'm satisfied with just the regular old knee cradle elastic tight around the knee. That works for me. There's lots of trends there depending on, like the knee cradle going down to the calf option is mostly if you have really bulky knee pads, and most people don't really use bulky knee pads like the pros do. So I mean, something that you see the pros do is not always the right option for you. So I mean, it's all about playing around your gear. It's pretty fun that you can do that as a goalie. Players are kind of boring. They just kind of all wear it the same way besides the back tuck or front tuck. Besides that, they're all kind of the same. But goalie is fun. You can do whatever and take what brand of gear depending on style points and all that stuff. I mean, it's a pretty unique position to play, having to play with your gear like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's definitely a unique position where you can really have your own look on things and really use your own style. So wrapping things up, what do you think your best set of equipment was in your opinion, style-wise?
That's a tough. I think the favorite one I've ever had is probably my most recent set of 1S with Carlton. Because of the true design and what they were able to do with the printing and stuff. But besides that, I had a really sweet set of Total Ones back in Quebec City that was all beige. Kind of like the Lundqvist outdoor game set that he has. Just because our jerseys back then, we had no white on it, so I kind of felt like it was pointless to have a white set of pads, so I switched it all to beige. So I think that was one of my nicest sets. I had a beige helmet too. It was pretty sweet. And I remember the day the Bauer guy showed up at the rink just with a little piece of material, and he was like, "Yo, are we doing this for your next set?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure, 100%." He was as excited as me to use it the upcoming set. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember looking back and seeing those. They're a very unique set of pads. So finally, I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite hockey moment for you personally in your personal career?
I mean, for myself, it's pretty obvious is when I scored the goal. My second goal was probably my favorite moment. And it also happened at a time where we needed those wins. So contributing to those. Like, we were last place when I got to Gatineau, and we ended up crawling out and making playoffs. So it was kind of like we needed those wins, and getting like a 3-1 lead with a minute, I think, left to the game was kind of huge. So like getting those wins and making the playoffs in Gatineau, and I think that was probably my favorite year. I didn't have a great year in Cape Breton that year, and then ended up being in Gatineau, and it was the worst team. Not the worst team in the league, but we were just bottom team, and ended up crawling out and beating one of the top teams in the league in the first round. So I think that was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that was like in such a crucial time, scoring a goal like that. So thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. Best of luck next season, and I hope to hear from you soon.
All right, sounds good, boys.